guys, what's up? It's Joe Raiti from Raiti's Rides. We're doing it again from my home office where we do all of the virtual unveils and different types of videos. And then of course, behind the scenes, we're doing tons of editing and uploading. But we're here for a special reason, and it's actually a bit of a surprise, even to this guy right here that tends to think that I know a lot of what's going on with Subaru. What is it all about? They just announced a new trim of the WRX for 2025. It's called the WRX TS. You've heard it before. We've done it with the BRZ TS. Now it is the all-wheel drive rally-esque time to shine with that same badging. But what does it all mean in the end? Is this potentially an STI, or is it something that's close but not close enough? Let's go ahead, let's dive into the facts, the info, and some special pictures I have, and talk about, is this a replacement for the STI? Let's get into it. And there it is. That is the 2025 Subaru WRX TS. Let's talk about what it's not. I want to get that out of the way right at the start as we focus on that exterior shot of the new TS. When it comes to STI, it stands for Subaru Technica International. And once upon a time, in a galaxy not that far away, it was that ultimate in all-wheel drive rally car performance that you could buy and enjoy on the street. And it's fascinating because a lot of people tend to think that I am more of a muscle car guy or a Ford guy, a Chevy guy, a Mustang guy, Camaro guy. For a large part of the mid-2000s and a little bit before that, I was a Subaru guy. Like, I was all about that World Rally Blue, the gold forged BBS wheels, seeing Colin McRae, Petter Solberg, and all these other rally greats, Richard Burns, over in WRC, and the fact that it was like forbidden fruit here in the United States, because remember, here in the US, we had to wait until 2002 to get a WRX. Then we had to wait 2 extra years before we ever had an STI here in the United States. To put it in perspective, other parts of the world, other regions around the world were enjoying the STI since the mid-1990s, 1994 to be exact. I was a senior in high school, and there were certain people around the world getting behind the wheel of a Subaru WRX STI. With the generations here in the United States, started in 2004, and as we know, it went all the way through until 2021, and then we had the new introduction of the current platform of the WRX, and that's when Subaru decided, hey, we're no longer going to do an STI. When you got an STI on the previous generations, it was much different of an all-wheel drive setup than on the standard WRX. What you would find on an STI, WRX STI, is actually 3 differentials. 1 differential up front, a differential in the center, and then a diff out back. And if you remember, a lot of my reviews would talk about the way of controlling the power to the 4 wheels, and you could adjust more power to go to the front, more power to go to the rear, or you could do a lock, a 50-50 lock. You can't do that. You were never able to do that on a WRX that was sold here in the United States, even going back to 2002. Now, it's fascinating because when the WRX STI first came out, it had 300 horsepower, and it would blow the doors off of Mustang GTs of the same model year. Camaros, well, 2002 Camaros, I should say, because Camaro wasn't in production after 2002, but Corvettes, all sorts of performance cars were being shocked by this 4-door sedan with a big old wing on the back and those classic colors, the World Rally Blue and the gold BBS wheels. Now, as time went by, the STI stayed very, very similar. Now, they did make some adjustments in 2007 where they lowered the horsepower by 5, but then increased the torque for everyday drivability. Then, of course, in 2008, they came out with the hatchback, which really shocked the Subaru WRX STI world because there was never a hatchback before that. And it's funny because, you know, we all want what we don't have, right? In the beginning, we were pissed off that there was a hatchback and no longer a sedan. And then when the hatchback went away, now many people are pissed off that they don't get a hatchback option anymore. The vehicle, by the time of the end of the last generation, the vehicle was still powered by that EJ motor, 2.5 liter flat 4 turbocharged engine that put out 310 horsepower and was mated to a 6-speed manual. Now remember, the 6-speed manual in an STI, totally different transmission than what was in a WRX at the time. Fast forward to model year 2025, we have the introduction of this TS. What does TS stand for? Well, if you watch my BRZ TS review that we got to do out on ACH in California, Angeles Crest Highway, you would know that the T stands for tuned. That's why it's lowercase t. And the S is uppercase because that's supposed to be STI. Instead of it saying STI, it's the S, tuned by STI. So we found that with the BRZ, there was some very nice improvements made. I think the key word is balance, increasing the balance of the car, the braking, the handling, the stability. But I think what a lot of people really wanted to see was more horsepower, right? I mean, many BRZ aficionados and even people that aren't fans of the vehicle want to see a turbo added to that flat 4, which it still does not have. So when we talk about the WRX TS, we're still on that same wavelength. This is not a car that has all these special, drivetrain pieces and gearbox and engine pieces. We're talking more of a balanced vehicle. So is this going to be a better performer than the standard WRX? Without a doubt, because one of the things that's probably most important about the TS is going to be the adaptive suspension. So if you've been watching Raiti's rides for the past couple of years, you would know that the top dog in the WRX lineup is the GT. The GT comes with the Recaros, comes with adaptive suspension. The one thing that had a lot of people confusing, including yours truly, was that it only came with an automatic, the CVT. And they did make improvements to the CVT. It surprised me just how well it performed, but it was no manual transmission. I mean, there's no substitute for the real thing, right? So when they came out with the TR, the WRX TR, and if you haven't seen that review, I'll leave it at the end of this one, and we were out at ACH, Angeles Crest Highway, with it. A lot of people were surprised that there was no adaptive suspension, including yours truly. Well, here is the opportunity for Subaru to bring a little bit different balance of a package. So the TR stands for tuner ready, the one that we reviewed out in ACH. It was that bright red Subaru WRX TR. That was meant to come more with things that were standard so that tuners could change them, can tune them, change them to their liking. This TS is meant to have the goods from the get-go. So what you're getting is the STI tuned suspension off the WRX GTR, but it's been elevated to another level. So you have adaptive suspension on the WRX TS. That's one of the biggest differentiators between it and the TR and the rest of the WRX lineup, is that you have that adaptive suspension. It only comes with a manual transmission. So that's going to be the way that it's different from the GT, is that the GT only has an automatic transmission, CVT. This has a manual transmission only. The other big difference is no sunroof. So GT comes with a sunroof. This does not. This is more about having a more rigid structure, having a little bit lighter WRX, and having that adaptive suspension. Now, what this vehicle does have that none of the other Subarus have. None of them. BRZ, Ascent, Forester, Crosstrek, Outback. It has the first time ever full 12.3-inch digital gauge cluster. And you're going to see that in this video. I have these special photos that have been given to me by Subaru, and it showcases the technology. And I'll talk more about that when we get to that image. But let's go back to what else are you getting for that balanced performance. You're getting the 6-piston Brembos. So 6-piston Brembos up front, calipers of course. You got the 4-piston calipers out back. And what's kind of cool is that when you go with the TS, they're the gold color. That nice metallic gold finish. And that reminds me of one of my favorite cars of all time I ever owned, which was my 2006 WRX STI. That car had not only the gold forged BBS wheels, but it had the gold colored Brembos. So you're getting that. You're getting 19-inch wheels. Now, from what I could see in the photos, which in the photo the car is moving, so that means the wheels are spinning, I'm going to suspect that they're the same wheels from the TR. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. 19-inch wheel. I love that nice sort of like satin metallic gray finish. Gives it a good look. And you are getting the summer spec upgraded performance tires, just like the TR. The Bridgestone Potenza S007 tires. Which remember, to get performance on your favorite twisty road, on your favorite autocross track, or on the racetrack, it's not just necessarily horsepower that's going to make you faster. Brakes and tires. People just don't give enough credit for what that does for the performance of the vehicle. Now, of course, underneath the hood, the big disappointment, I'm sure for many of you, is there's no extra horsepower. So what are we working with? We're working with that 2.4-liter turbocharged engine, made it to the 6-speed manual, and you're looking at 271 horsepower. So if you compare that to the previous gen WRX, remember, we are getting a little bit more horsepower, 3 more horsepower. But we kind of closed the gap a little bit on the outgoing STI, because the outgoing STI had 310 horsepower. I know it's 40 horsepower almost, but like I said, it's about the package, right? It's about the balance. Now, another thing that's really nice, especially if you are traveling with yourself, obviously you're traveling with yourself because you're driving, but if you have a family, maybe you're sharing the car enthusiast hobby with your kids, which I respect that and I want that. I mean, we can't let the car enthusiast hobby die. What's nice is that this has plenty of safety technology. So you have your eyesight safety technology that comes standard. Remember, that's new. First seen on the WRX TR manual, and now we're seeing it on the TS. So you have that safety component. And then, of course, you're looking at the whole big picture. You're getting the Recaros. And I'm telling you right now, I have, as you know, or maybe you don't know, I have a 2018 STI Type RA. It's got Recaros, but let's be honest, they're not really the greatest. This thing has the Recaros that we tested in the TR, and I'm telling you right now, they hug you as snug as a bug in a race car rug, and boy, do they look freaking good. So that's really where the big changes are for the new WRX, is the interior. And what you'll see in a few moments here is that interior now has blue accents. So they're bringing that blue from the outside into the interior. And I love the way they did the blue on the seats. It really makes a nice pop of color. And when you tie that in with the digital gauge cluster, really helps with that overall effect and kind of giving you a different experience while you're driving. But looking at the car, the fastest color available, World Rally Blue, of course. And if you notice, at the grille, you're going to get a special WRX TS badge. It's all together right there on the driver's side of the grille. You have that large functional hood scoop because we have still the top-mounted intercooler, full LED lighting, which is nice, including the fog lamps. And then on the back side, you're going to get the same badge. Now, here's the thing that I just want to do this to myself. And the reason why is that if we're saying tuned by STI, why doesn't this car come with the STI catback exhaust. I don't know if you've seen our review, but we did a base WRX, base. But it happened to have the optional STI catback exhaust. Why does this car not come with it? If it's tuned by STI, that's got to be the biggest zonk that I have for it, is if you're going to make a balanced setup here with performance, why not give us some of that flat 4 turbocharged sound, a little bit more of that coming out the exhaust? Why they didn't do that is beyond me. So that to me is the zonk in the whole big picture. You could tell me in the comment section. I'm sure right now you're probably like, what about the horsepower? F that, F Subaru. Okay, yeah, it would have been nice to see more horsepower. I'm not going to argue with that. Let's at least bring it up to previous gen specs of the STI. But I don't think in any way, shape, or form, and I don't care if, Petter Solberg himself drove up in his rally car and tried to convince me that this is an STI replacement. It is not. It's just lacking so many of the bespoke pieces of performance that made an STI an STI. If you think an STI is just a big wing, man, we got to sit down and have a big talk, because not even close. And maybe that's something. Let me know in the comment section if you want me to dive deeper into this whole STI debate and what that really represents. Add that into the comment section. But what's great about this is that it really brings in a lot of what we're seeing with this vehicle. But that is the big debate, right? Is wanting to have the STI back. And this is good, but it's not an STI. But I think the biggest thing, like I wanted to point out, is the gauge cluster. This being the first Subaru ever to have that 12.3-inch configurable gauge cluster. Let me know what you think. I mean, I like it. It looks good. Nice clear fonts, graphics, and everything else. I'm kind of old school. I like the analog gauges, especially on an STI, because it had the red LED lighting. It had the STI badge that would light up. Just give it that nice old school rally car feel to it. These gauges, they look good. But I would like to see what the other options are when you configure them. How are they going to look? Are you able to configure them to make them look like old STI gauges? That would be pretty cool. I would be game for that. But when you look at the interior of the seats, the interior pieces in blue, how is that going to look on a car, say red? I don't know. A black car, blue, perfect, white. It's just the red is going to be a little bit of a hang up, and maybe red won't even be available. And then, of course, the last thing to talk about is the price. If the TR, being the kind of stripped down model, is coming in at $42,000, what is this going to be? I'm going to probably say my guesstimate is probably right around $45,000 to $47,000. If it goes any higher than that, we're getting pretty high there, because remember, when the 2018 Type RA came out, the MSRP on that was $51,000. But think about all the things that you get, including a carbon fiber roof. The S209 had an MSRP of around $62,000, but that has so many bespoke parts on it, it's not even funny. So I'm going to say price around $45,000 to $47,000. Let me know what your guess is down in that comment section, and how you feel about my guess. Do you think I'm just out of right field and not even close? Or do you think I'm crossing home base and I know the right numbers? Let me know how you feel about that in the comment section. Let me know what your thoughts are on this WRX TS, because I guarantee you, people from Subaru, and they know that I know that they know that I know their names. They're going through the comment section. So let them know. And of course, if you're new to the channel and you're on your way out, I like to do these things sometimes where we just sit and talk and look at some new car stuff that's coming out. If you like that, come back for more. If you are a subscriber, thank you for being on this journey with us. We got to give it up to LG Raiti. I know how she feels. She wants the STI to come back. She loves the Subaru WRX STI, and none of this other stuff is going to, it's going to be close, but not hit it on the head for her. So thank you, Lori, for all that you do and your insight and deep talks that we have about Subaru. You know, sometimes Lori and I will just make a cup of coffee and just talk about Subaru STIs. And just like always, guys, I'll see you on the next ride.